There's a stigma in our environment, even talking about mental health or going to therapy or a person that's struggling mentally. It's always either looked down upon or just ignored in general. When you see a person struggling mentally in our environment, it's always, looked at as something that is just so wrong. But, as I struggled with my own mental health as I got older, I realized, it's very healthy to have emotions, be emotional, to speak about what's wrong, to be in pain, to know that you need help, and to be struggling mentally and to acknowledge that there's nothing wrong with that. Luckily, I was given an opportunity to have a mother that acknowledged that she has some mental health struggles and did I need help? Did I need therapy? What did I want to do to help myself? She tried to talk me through it, or she wasn't a perfect mother, but she acknowledged that, are you struggling mentally? Do you need some help? So I became curious, am I struggling? And I went on this mental health journey. And, I had to really realize, am I hurting? Do I need to heal? You can't acknowledge your pain if you don't go towards it. A lot of people run from their pain, but I was the type, what? Let me go towards this pain. Like Jay-Z said, don't run from the pain, go towards it. Because once you go towards your pain, you start to realize I've been internalizing things, or I've been bottling things up, or I've been not even speaking on things or not getting to the fact of the matter. So how can you really heal if you're not accepting your pain, acknowledging your pain, or even speaking on your pain? You can't heal, like they say, if you pretend that you're not hurt. I had to stop pretending that I wasn't hurt as I became a woman. As you become a woman, it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to say, I'm hurting. I need help. It's okay to acknowledge your pain and do something about it. I had to become more self-aware of what was really bothering me, what was triggering me, what I was really going through, what I was feeling. I had to really sit back and just self-reflect, like, you know what? I do want some help. I do want to figure out what's going on. How can I, get the tools needed? In our environments, it's a stigma on wanting to get healed or heal or help healed or talk about it, or check out resources or things you can do to just better yourself and how you feeling emotionally. And that's when I realized, what, I do need help. I do need somebody that's on a professional level, or somebody that knows what they're talking about, what I could be going through. And I also wanted somebody that looked like me. I had to find somebody that maybe was a woman, or a woman of a minority woman. I wanted somebody that I can relate to, somebody that I felt comfortable with. And I went to a few people and they just wasn't a vibe for me. So that's where I figured, let me keep seeking out help, because you know what? I do need help and I want to do something about what I'm going through. I really had to be realistic about, what was therapy going to do for me? Did I really need therapy? Did I want therapy? Am I, bold enough to sit in there and be honest and be candid and be vulnerable and tell this therapist what exactly is going on with me? Why I'm here? You know, am I really taking accountability for why I need therapy, why I want therapy? Am I being realistic on what can come out of this? Sometimes we got to sit down with ourselves and be realistic and just, plan things out. Like, how will this even help me? And, giving yourself grace. We always give people grace in our lives, but we don't really give that grace to ourselves. And that's what I had to do. I've been through some things that have traumatized me or hurt me or changed me emotionally, mentally. And it's time for me to give myself some grace about those things. Everything is not our fault. And some things are, environmental, circumstantial. So I had to accept that as well. And, also accepting the fact that I'm not perfect. I have a lot that I can change and work on and, you know, accept accountability for. And, I had to just be honest with myself. Like, you know what? I'm not perfect. Yeah, I'm struggling mentally. Yeah, I'm going through it. And it's time for me to realize it's okay to not be perfect. It's okay to have, things going on in your life. It's okay to not just sit up and paint this perfect picture. It's okay to feel a little off mentally, physically, emotionally. You have to accept that. And, a lot of the times in our environment, we could be going through things for the longest where we're just, not even acknowledging it for real and just, in denial about it. And you got to realize, sometimes getting help or even saying that you need help takes time, or even getting the help is going to take time for you to, regulate your emotions or figure out yourself again, or just even come to terms with everything that's going on, the changes in your life, things that happen. Good things do take time, and that's what I had to realize. Even getting help is going to take me some time. I also had to realize, a lot of these things I didn't know. A lot of these things I was ignorant to. I did have to get information, research, and ask around and call around and see what resources were out there and see what kind of help I could have needed or wanted, or, you know, talk to people. Just, I'm not always right. I need to get informed and get some knowledge about how I'm feeling, what I'm going through, and the steps to take to get help. Sometimes you just really just got to get informed, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. And sometimes you got to fight yourself out of that depression, them negative thoughts, them negative feelings, them negative emotions. You got to really sit down and be honest with yourself, like, I want to be better. I want to do better. I want to feel better. So you got to fight your way out of it, because, you could sit up there and let time just go by while you're stuck in that low vibration. And I've been in that position before where I had to fight my way up out of feeling like real low about abuse, about neglect, about all kind of things that I've been through. And if you don't fight your way out of it, you're going to stay there. Your life is going to stay stagnant. You're going to stay, replaying those events over and over and over again. You really have to fight your way out of that negativity, that low vibe, that depression, that need to just wallow in your pain. It comes to a point where you say, okay, I got to fight. I got to get up. I got to keep going. Like, the fight is all about you. Or you could just stay in that spot. But no, sometimes you got to get up and actually fight your way through it. And we always think that people haven't went through what we've been through because we think it's like individual. But it's some people that has almost been through what you have been through verbatim. So you have to be teachable. You have to allow people to kind of hear you out, or kind of ask for advice, or people that's been there that's out of the fight. It's really a fight to get your mental health in check. It's really a fight because nobody's going to get you out of that low vibration but yourself. And you got to be able to be teachable. You got to be able to be somebody that can learn from whoever did it before you, or a professional. You know, my therapist sat there with a checklist of things that I could do to work through it. I really got through it on that checklist, but she was a professional, and I had to be willing to learn and sit there and be teachable. I really had to sit around and think about, what am I going to do to get my mind right? What am I going to do to fight myself out of this depression? What am I going to do to get out of this stagnation? What am I going to do? You really got to sit down and plot and plan your way out. That depression can really take over you. That feeling of feeling lost, that feeling of feeling defeated. I've been there. I'm not too proud to say that I have been in that spot where I wanted to just give up and just say fuck everything. But, I had kids to fight for, my family to fight for, my life, my dreams, things that I wanted to do to fight for. Am I really just going to give up because, these circumstances or this environment or this situation or this one thing that happened to me, or these two things, this relationship, this rejection, this job loss, this money loss? You really got to just sit back and think like, okay, I've been down, I've been out, I've been counted out. But what am I going to do to get myself out of this? So you got to sit down and think, plot your execution. And, having a vision, is very necessary for you getting yourself back on your feet out of that stagnation. You really have to sit down and think to yourself like, okay, what do I want to do, how I'm going to do it, and how I'm going to get to it. You got to have your vision planned out. Like, you don't have to go all the way to an extreme. Like, just, be realistic about it. But you have to do some planning and plotting for you to make it out of that hole. Sometimes we sit there with our vision and we just sitting there. But you also got to get out of that. You can't just sit there. You got to put some action behind that vision in order for you to execute. And that's some things I did too. I was sat there too long thinking about it, and I had to get busy. Now, I'm going to be real. This is kind of the hard part, getting to work when you've been stagnant or you just been sitting there in that, in your head for so long. This is the hard part when you really got to get up, put your moves into action. This can be the hard part when you're going through that depression. And this is the part where you really got to fight. You know how you felt low and you didn't want to even get up that next day? But this is the day you got to say, okay, okay, girl, let's get up. Let's get out there. We can't keep sitting here thinking about it. We got to put some action behind them words, behind that vision. We really got to get out there and get to it. And this was the hard part for me. I'm not going to lie. So don't let that be the hard part to you. Get up. I'm telling you, if you want to get your faith tested while all them obstacles are being thrown in your way, this is the hard part too. That keep going when you keep getting knocked down, when you keep getting no's, when you keep applying for a job and they ain't hiring you, when you keep trying to get some money and you ain't getting it, when you keep trying to do your business stuff and it getting sabotaged, when you keep having relationships that ain't working, when you keep having friendships that ain't working, when you keep doing things that just ain't working, you gotta still keep going. This can be hard too, because this is the part when you want to give up, when you didn't try it and it didn't work that first time. You know, because you could be like that. You want it to work the first time, but sometimes it's going to take you 10 times. And you know what, y'all? This part, the letting go, baby, let me tell you, the letting go of things that you thought was going to work, relationships, friendships, jobs, careers, things that you just had dead set in your mind. This is it. This is going to work for me. You have to learn to let it go. And once you do, it's such a beautiful feeling. It's like, these birds right here, you just release, you just fly, you just become a lot more free. When I learned to let go, I was a lot more free. I felt better. You know, just let go. Like, whatever's weighing you down, the outcome, the not happening, the let it go. That's it. And people always say, therapy don't work. I'm going to tell you, therapy works. I've been in therapy off and on for years, off and on. When I need it, I'm not too proud to say I go back. Because these are people that's been in school 10, 13 years. Psychologists, psychotherapists, sociologists. These are people that are medical professionals. And a lot of them have a lot of life experience, and they give you free game on the side, of things they've been through. Environmental situations, things that are just out of your control. Sometimes we tend to blame ourselves. So when you go to therapy, you get a better understanding from a medical aspect or just from a person with a lot more life experience. You need people with way more life experience around you. They give you free game. I love free game. So y'all, don't think therapy don't work. It definitely works. And acceptance is another big one because, a lot of things were out of your control. They weren't your fault. You were victimized, but you're a survivor. No, that wasn't fair. But if you accept it all, the good, the bad, the ugly, the truth, the painful, the things that made you want to cry, just accept it. Accept that shit with full understanding and power. I accept all that has happened to me, good, bad, ugly, unfair, cruel, mean, nasty, shit that made me cry. Accept it all. And that's how you begin to heal, really. And learning how to heal can be hard as well. You have to learn what works for you, what may have worked for other people. Check those things out. Google, get informed, watch videos, watch documentaries, Go seek out information as well, and learn what works for you, and then begin the work. Get to work. I'm not going to say you're going to heal overnight because that is very unrealistic, but you are in the process of learning how to heal because sometimes we stay stuck or stagnant or just in that dark place, but it's time to elevate above that, heal. So I know meditation changed my life. Shout out to one of my, good childhood friends that introduced me into meditation. It worked for me. So those are one of the things that greatly helped me heal. Shockingly, not everybody believes in meditation, but honestly, it seems to have worked for me just fine. Meditation, I use it almost every day when I consciously think to use it. And it really works for me. That's one thing that works for you. And, maybe if you come across this video, you can check out some meditations that might work for you. Because it definitely did change my life, honestly. Having a journal, we always had one of those as, adolescents or kids, but as women, journaling is so beneficial because you can actually go back to those raw emotions when you were in that low place and see how you have elevated, or things that you said that you wanted to do, you have accomplished it. Sometimes going back looking in my journal really makes me cry because I'm like, oh wow, I really outgrown that low place, or I'm really not in that dark space, or oh, I've accomplished that goal, or oh, I've did this, or I've did that, or oh, I really took that advice, or I really took those steps. And it could be really beneficial to see your growth, or just document what you want to do in your life, or just have something to go back to reference how far you've come. This is the hard part because being bold, sometimes when you're in that low space, you don't have the confidence or the drive or the resources because you've been stagnant. So you got to really be bold in taking action. And you got to be bold in the things that you want to do. Some things may scare you, but this is a time where you have to really be bold and step out your comfort zone, because this is how you're going to see growth. This is how you're going to get over that fear. This is how you're going to get to them goals that you've been just letting sit there. You really got to be bold and kind of like, okay, let me do some things that scare me. Let me do some things that's just kind of radical and out of my comfort zone. And that's when you get to accomplishing goals and making some of your dreams come true. And I'm still learning. And self-care is just so important because it's not just a superficial aspect like, getting your hair and nails done feels good, or buying yourself some clothes. But self-care to recognize, let me go get some therapy. Let me go see what I can do to help myself. Let me start meditating. Let me start working on that mental, that inside, because the outer will start looking better once that inside has looking better. Because, that's what helped me. When I was in a low vibration, I didn't give a fuck about no self-care. But once I started feeling better, of course I cared about how I was looking and presenting myself to the world. But when you're in that low vibration, that's one of the last things you care about. So it's important if you take the time to get that mind right, because all of the superficial aspects of life are definitely going to kick in. Because I've never really been in the low space where I didn't care, about self-care. But at one point I was, and that's perfectly fine. I needed to get my mind back right in order to give a fuck. But once you start giving a fuck mentally, you'll start giving a fuck physically. And no matter what, just always love on yourself. Loving on yourself is the biggest blessing that you can give to yourself, because no matter who's around you in your environment and your circumstances, you loving on yourself would always make improvements and make room for greatness in your life. So loving on yourself, no matter what's going on around you, is really going to make some change in your life, because when you love yourself to the fullest, you're going to give to yourself to the highest degree, and you're going to show up for yourself. Only you can show up for yourself to the max. So when you loving on yourself, that's when you show up as your best self, guaranteed. And once you realize, healing is just a lifetime journey. I don't think nobody is ever really healed. Life is about healing. Going through life, healing constantly, repeatedly, growing, healing is an ongoing experience to me. I don't feel like I'm ever really fully healed from anything. It's just a process of just accepting and healing and doing the work over the years. You should be healing every day from things. And just realize that about yourself. Like, no matter what I'm going through, I have to give myself grace because I am still healing. And that's okay. It's nothing wrong with still healing from things that have hurt you and caused you pain and frustration. You still healing. And not everybody is religious, but whatever higher power you believe in, or whatever you believe in spiritually, or whatever, just be still. There's not really anything you can do about situations that are out of your control. But as far as me, I believe in God, and I believe when God having me be still, I know that He is God and He is in control over everything in my life. He is going to orchestrate me out of it, into it, above it, around it. God says, be still, you be still. If there's nothing you can do, you ain't finding no job, be still. You can't find no man, be still. You can't get no money, be still. It ain't working out for you, be still. Because there's nothing you can do. Trust that God got you.